No questions. That means you all are very clear on the provisions of the Bills of Exchange Ordinance, I presume. That's a good news. We've discussed about the law relating to as to what the definition of bills of exchange, uh, what are the remedies, what are the peripheries of the legalities, how to use, what to use, what do you mean by not negotiable crossings, the dual aspects of a check, uh, then how to write checks, who are the parties to a checks or bills of exchange used interchangeably. So many aspects we've already discussed. But there are more to discuss. Why I'm taking this much into this is to ensure that you have thorough knowledge on the aspects of bills of exchange, because even in my career as a lawyer, practicing lawyer, and even before that, even what do you call currently when I engage in people, talk to people, maybe clients, and in the legal fraternity, as well as especially the banking community, I can say that I am not very impressed about the knowledge of bills of exchange. Certain things which are quite simple, people don't know what it is. For that matter, even I would be happier, I would say that even if they knew something like that is there, despite sometimes people don't even or have not even heard of certain things. I will explain. So don't get into that category, right? And always, if you don't know something, that doesn't, it's not a what do you call reason for you to be ashamed of. If you don't know something, there are enough and more material for you to peruse, for you to refer to. If that is not there, the internet is there, the books are there, to notes, whatever, and go and talk to a lecturer, talk to a friend, talk to a senior, talk to a person who knows that, right? Not knowing is not an excuse. Get to know those things. So those are my small advices on this. So you will be having your exams, I was told, in couple of months. But that now that is another issue. What I find here is, in a subject like law, chances are that now if you are focusing only on the exam, chances are that you will forget about whatever that we discuss. So always my advice is, I'll be taking another 2 to 3 maximum. So today is the 13, 27, right? 2 to 3, maximum 2 to 3 lectures. Then we are done. All your lectures will be what do you call over by I was told by the institute by the 10th of April, right? Then this interaction won't be there. Therefore, my advice is, try to, first study this, then start on your papers. And then the holidays are coming up. Chances are that the touch, you will lose the touch. Please don't let it go, because it would be hard. I know by experience, when my students, who are so many, have come to me and said, sometimes, who are very good in certain sections, certain areas, their touch has gone now. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, so don't get into that uh, pool, right? So we will continue with our session, uh, continuing from what we discussed last week, right? What is the plain English meaning of the term stale? You call stale food and stuff like that. What do you mean by stale? Stale. What is the meaning of the term stale? others. Rotten food, expired, out of date, right? That is the plain meaning of the term stale. Kallikut vela, right? Sudusu kale right. No, so the time period has lapsed. You wouldn't believe even certain people which you look upon and think that they are aware of the law behind the bills of exchange. I've got a question not very long ago from a very what do you call distinguished person. He asked me, I can of course for obvious reasons I can't reveal any further details. He asked me, what do you mean by a stale check? Now I was taken aback, to be honest. I was so surprised and I was taken aback by this question asked from somebody who's supposed to know that more than I do. Right? Then that's such a situation you feel very helpless. Right? So, what is a stale check? The A stale check has no other further meaning than the plain English term meaning of being stale, right? That is expired, or the curable period or the usable period is over. What is how okay? If I put it this way, how long is a check valid? I need your answers. How long does a check valid? Or after how long would a check be considered as expired or stale? I have so many in the class, so I want, and you all are supposed to be bankers. I want your participation in the class, please. Now, so many of you all are saying it's 6 months. Can anyone tell me why did you say it's 6 months? You can unmute and say, or you can type your answers. I need you to crack your brains and tell me why do you say, or rather, did you say the validity of a check is 6 months? Why? That's okay. You just give me the reason. It may be right or wrong. I need to alleviate any misconceptions on this. Right? You need to know about this. That's why I'm asking you. Why do you say? Why did you say 6 months? What is the reason? You're saying it's 6 months and not 8 months and not 4 months. Why? Why? Menoli Padmasiri. Why 6 months? Chatmal Minsar Kaushala Movindi Malkini. Can anyone tell me? No one. Oh, where does it state that the validity is 6 months? For you to tell me it's 6 months, there should be something, right? So crack your brains and tell me why is it mentioned 6 months? Don't now go and search internet or anything. You might give wrong. I think not so correct answers. But what I need is, even if your answer is incorrect, if it is original, it's your own answer, I don't mind, right? Rather than copying from anywhere. So why do you think it's 6 months? Where in the bills of exchange ordinance it says, or does it Or is there why? Hmm? No idea. Now, this is keep this in mind. Know this and don't ever forget this. We bankers in Sri Lanka consider a check as a fresh check or not a stale check, not an expired check, only if it is within a period of 6 months. So it is a banking practice rather than a statute law or mentioned in a particular law, right? A statute, right? That is very important. Uh, it is not mentioned in the bills of exchange ordinance. The pure or the simple meaning of stale is it's no longer fresh, right? So it is not there, it's a banking practice, right? However, in some countries, these stale checks are governed by statutory rules, right? Uh, like in Australia, it has mentioned that it is valid only for not 6 months, but in Australia it is 15 months, right? In England and in Sri Lanka, we consider as 6 months because we consider it because that is the same practice England also have, right? Uh, keep what you also need to know is that is by default the validity period of a check is 6 months. I hope you all are getting your cross notes or short notes on what I'm saying. The by default it's 6 months, but a bank or a drawer or the endorser of a check can limit its validity further by writing 6 months is in general, and crossing he or she can the holder of the bill can say valid only for 90 days, valid only for 60 days, valid only for 30 days. If that is mentioned there, it will no longer be applicable or what do you call be fresh for a period of 6 months. Rather, it will be valid for that specified period, right? Keep that in mind. So now, if you produce a stale check, whose fault is that? Now, example, the drawer, let's, right, okay, here is my check, right, this is my check, right? Right. So today is the 13th. Mhm. Right. Pay Ranga Liyanagi 50,000 rupees only. Right. And then there's something. Then you get the check numbers. Let's say commercial bank. Right. Name of the person is uh, Amila Pereira. Right. Oh, Bear. Right. You will see that in a moment. We will update the date. I'm going to update the date. Oh, easiness of studying. Huh? Okay, let's go to the basics. Who is the drawer of this check? Right? Drawer. Right. I want you all to, all of you all to participate in this, right? Drawer, right? Who is the drawee of the check? Drawee. Drawee of the check. Good. Who is the payee of the check? What is the now? Let me put it. What is the date of the check? Looks so simple, but let's see. What is the date of the check? No, check again. It was updated. Right. Now, until what date does this check be valid to be presented? Meaning, now Rangali and it's let's see, it's me. I got this check. Let's assume I got this check on the 1st of January itself. Right? What is the last date I can go and present this to the bank?
Hello,
That is for
sir. Can you
31 in
repeat
the
the
month of
question again?
what is the last date I can just disregard the banking holidays and Sundays and Saturdays. Huh? But what is the last date I can present this check for payment to commercial bank or whatever? Think about it and just don't make silly mistakes. I presume all of you all can see this chat box, right? Yes? The comments of others you all can see. If somebody just confirm.
Yes.
Right, good. Now, just imagine this question was asked in the exam. And look at the answers that I have received. How many of you all got it right? How many of you all got it wrong? Some sometimes careless mistakes. 1st of June, May. This is a very simple sum. Validity period, date of the check is 1st. When? How long? Still I'm getting incorrect answers. Still I'm getting incorrect answers. There are still I'm getting incorrect answers. There are close to 50 students in the class. Validity period of a check is, we say, it's not restricted, no? It would become stale after a period of 6 months. මාස 6 ගණන් කරගන්නේ නැහැ. Still I'm getting wrong answers. Still wrong. My. Really? Still I'm getting. Last date I can present this check. 6 months period. January, February, March, April, May, June. 30th June. Why is it so hard? I can imagine now. These are careless mistakes. Not that you can't count it. But I don't know what the reason. It's so careless. I mean, if you say 31st June, I don't know. Some examiners might mark, give you marks on sympathetic grounds. But then again, that's not the correct answer. There is 30. You can't say anyway 31st June. Then you can't say 31st May. What about the month of June? And I'm getting months in September also. Right? These are careless mistakes. That, of course, my dear students, you all have to address that. Right? What are you going to do about it? These are major issues that I see. It can be remedied very easily. Now you have, you know what is what is a stale check. Now I am going to take your attention to, we spoke of what is negotiable bill, what are some payables, bills on payable on demand, payable at a future time, determinable future time. We spoke of this quite, extensively. Now turn to section 12 of the Bills of Exchange Ordinance. This is a very important section. Imperative. Omission of date in bill payable after date or acceptance after sight. That is the caption given for that particular section. Omission of date in bill payable after date or acceptance after sight. For easiness of understanding, you think this bill is a check, right? Where a check expressed to be payable, express කරන්නේ කොහොමද ලියලා? How do you express? You write it, right? Where a bill expressed to be payable at a fixed period after date is issued undated, or where the acceptance of a check payable at a fixed period after sight is undated, any holder may insert therein the true date of issue or acceptance, and the bill shall be payable accordingly. Read that paragraph 3 times, and I am serious. When I told you to read it 3 times, I want you to read it 3 times slowly. where a bill expressed to be payable at a fixed period after date is issued undated, or where expressed to be payable at a fixed period, right? Or where the acceptance of bill is at a fixed period after site is undated. Right? Expressed to be payable at a fixed period after date is issued. Now there are these bills of exchange, unlike a check, there is more freedom into that, right? Now all checks are payable on demand. On demand. So moment you present it for payment, you don't need to go through the process which is applicable for bills of exchange and you present it for acceptance first. No, there is no acceptance and payment of a check happens at the same time. So you have a check, you go and present it to the bank to be payable. We take our check which you saw earlier, same thing, it's payable on demand. So it is expressed to be payable at a fixed period after date. It's not so the case, it's payable on demand. It is issued undated though. Fixed period after date. Or where acceptance, that part doesn't come or become applicable here because for a check, acceptance and payment happens at the same time. Right? So when it comes to a check, right, if let's say, look at this check. Look at this check. This check is expressed to be payable by whom? By Amila Pereira, expressed to be payable to Rangali Yanagi or to bear 50,000 rupees, right? Expressed to be payable at a fixed period after date. So that at a fixed period after date is not relevant when it comes to a check, right? Understand? Right. So this is issued undated. What is the date I can put? Now I am the holder of the bill. I am the holder of the bill. What is the date I can put into this bill? According to this section, it says any holder may insert. Now I got the check with an undated check. Any holder may insert after date or the true date of issue or acceptance. Acceptance is not applicable for a check here. And the bill shall be the bill shall be payable accordingly. Right? Any holder may insert therein the true date of issue or acceptance and the bill shall be payable accordingly. Oh, what is the date that I can put into this? What is the date? What do you all think? So Amila Pereira, let's assume I did some, let's say, work for Amila Pereira and he gave me this check. Right? He gave me this check. The holder of the bill is me. I can put it says, I may insert the true date of issue and the bill shall be payable accordingly. Give me examples of dates that I can mention in this blank check. Is that a difficult question? I have to put the true date into this. Yes.
The date you receive?
The date I received. That is the true date. Very good. That is the true date, right? But if I, let's say, without knowing, let's say uh, let's say, in the first instance, it was dated 1st of January, but he gave me on the 3rd of January. That doesn't matter, right? Because I have 6 months to encash the check. If I get it undated, the date I receive the check, that's also completely fine because that's the date I receive and that's the intended date I can presume that he wanted me to have, right? Where is that? Right? Right. Provided where the holder, that is me, in good faith, right? In good faith, I have a very good faith, honestly. I made a mistake. And by mistake, I inserted a wrong date, right? Provided that if I as the holder in good faith and by mistake inserts a wrong date. Look at this. You need both of these conditions to be fulfilled. It's not enough that I have good faith, right? But if I do something, if I insert the wrong date in good faith, but intentionally, this doesn't apply. I have to insert the wrong date in good faith, but at the same time, should have inserted it by mistake, right? If that is the case, provided that it's in every case where a wrong date is inserted, if the bill subsequently comes into the hands of a holder in due course, remember HDC section 27, comes into the hands of a holder in due course, the bill shall not be avoided thereby, right? But shall operate and be payable as if the date so inserted had been the true date. Right? Read that once again. Now, at the beginning, he said where a bill is expressed to be, so a check is undated. If that is undated, the holder of the bill can insert the true date of the check, right? And be payable accordingly, provided if the holder in good faith and by mistake inserts a wrong date and, right? So that is, those are the exceptions of not putting the correct date, exceptions of not putting the correct date, but still the check is payable. So if you insert a wrong date to a check, it's not payable. That's by default, it's not payable. If you insert a wrong date, there are only two instances where a check is payable. If the holder in good faith and by mistakes inserts a wrong date, or let's say I inserted the wrong date in good faith by, let's say, but intentionally I put a wrong date, inserted a wrong date. Then I endorse it and gives it to another person for good and valuable consideration. He did some services to me, then I gave this check. Then he becomes the holder in due course. Although, insofar as I am concerned, this check is not valid because I put a wrong date. Insofar as that endorsee is concerned, now who is the holder of the bill? He is a holder in due course. Yathakali Dharake. Right? Insofar as he is concerned, this check is valid. Questions? If you have any questions, ask. Did everyone understand? Then I need you all to understand this. right? Because I'm going to give you a question. So if you didn't understand this, please do ask me now, because that question you might see quite tricky. But I want you to understand. I want you to do that question once when I give it to you now. So I think you are clear on this. Then we go to section 13, the next section, right? Section 12, if a check is given undated, holder can put the correct date. Then the check is valid. If the holder puts a wrong date, generally check is not valid other than in two instances. What are the two instances? If the holder inserts a wrong date in good faith by mistake, first. Secondly, if the check with the wrong date, unless the with the wrong date, right, comes into the hand of a holder in due course. Insofar as he is concerned, check is valid. Those are the only two instances. We come to the next section, which is equally important. Presumption as to the date being true date. Where a bill or an acceptance or endorsement on a bill is dated, the date shall, unless the contrary be proved, be deemed to be the true date of the drawing, acceptance or endorsement, as the case may be. Right? If a check is dated, maybe the check wasn't dated when the drawer gave it. Maybe the date was inserted by the holder. So whether it's the true date or the wrong date, nobody knows. But the law presumes it's the correct date, unless the contrary is proved. Right? Unless the contrary is proved. All right. Now I'm going to give you a small question. I have a question. What happens if the payee enter a latter date on the check with good faith and by mistake from the date onwards of 6 months is counted? Very good question, Dina. Others, you all can see the question before I, what do you call, make you into boredom. Tell me, give me one moment. What? Tell me, can anyone answer that question? We take the same question which I gave you, the same facts. The check being date, let's say, check was given to me, the same check, right? Which you saw earlier. This check, somebody, or Amila Pereira gave me on the first. He gave me on the first, undated. He gave me on the first, undated. What is the date I can put here by mistake and good faith? Very good question. Think about it and answer before I now, whilst I give you my question. I want you all to, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong, that's completely fine. I need you all to start thinking and crack your brains on this. Yes, actually nothing to crack your brains on that, but just think about it and answer to that question what she has just asked. Very valid question. You have to think about, you have to read section 12 and section 13 on this for you to give the answer. More than 12, 13 will give your answer. Take 2 minutes and answer to this question. This is an interesting question. But before that, have you all answered? Nobody answered. Why is that? Right? Any guesses for Dina's question? Nobody has answered. So her question is, what happens if the payee enter latter date on the check with good faith and by mistake? From the date onwards, 6 months is counted. It triggers section 13. What does section 13 say? Look at what section 13 say. It triggers section 13. Where a bill, let's say a check, is dated. Example, Dina, in the same example I gave you, I got the check, let's say, on the 1st of January, but I am the holder now. Like you said, by mistake and by good faith, I insert the date as maybe what? Today's date, 13th March 2021. So, where check is dated, now it's dated, I inserted the date, 13th March 2021. Unless the contrary be proved, unless somebody else comes and disputes this date, today's date, being on the check, that check is valid. Right? Understand? Did you understand? Are you clear? Or you need more? Right.
Yes, sir. However, if the receiver has mentioned the incorrect date, unless if someone come and ask this,
Disputes it.
yeah, disputes, it will be uh, yeah, from the
Deemed.
date
That's the
that they
correct
have.
date.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Now I'm going to give you a very nice nice for me, nice for you question for you to think about and answer for each and every one of you on this. This is very interesting, right? This is very interesting. And this is, let's see whether you get the answer for this. ABC Company Limited, right? ABC Company Limited was, let's say, incorporated in 2007, in the year 2007, right? It changed its name from ABC Company Limited to ABC Company PLC on 1st of February 2015, right? So from ABC Company Limited to ABC Company PLC in 2015, right? Amila Pereira, then no, I'm not going to explain further. I'm going to show you this, and you all need to, each and every one of you, please go through this what we discussed until now, and tell me give me your answer and the reasons for your answer. My question is this check valid or invalid and the reason for your answer. This is the check. Take a couple of minutes. I want you all to all of you all to answer to this. Others? I'm waiting for the others' answers. Is that check valid or not? Kaushala, can you explain your answer? You can unmute and explain your answer. Why do you say it's valid? Take this as an opportunity. මොන භාෂාවෙන් හරි කමක් නැහැ පැහැදිලි කරන්න මට this is very important. ඇයි ඒක බලංගු චෙක් පතක් කියලා කියන්නේ? Minoli, you want to go ahead? Rather than typing, why don't you all just unmute and say? Yeah, Minoli, go ahead.
Only the name is changed. No.
I can't hear you, Minoli, clearly.
Only the name is changed.
Only the name is changed. Okay, so therefore, if I to give you all another glimpse to the effect that, right? Now I said no. The name was changed from ABC Company Limited to ABC Company PLC in the year 2015, 1st of February, right? Amila Pereira. Now, Amila Pereira gives this check undated. Holder has inserted this date. So holder of the check has inserted this check. Amila Pereira says, yes, it's my signature. But I didn't insert the date. If that is the case, is this a valid check? I wrote this check, this is my signature, I gave an undated check. If that is the case, according to Companies Act, don't think too much. Don't make it complicated. Fatima, what do you think? Amil Pereira gave this check, said it's his check. I gave this undated to ABC Company Limited. I gave this to ABC Company Limited. is this check valid? I need all of you all to participate in this question. The not valid as the company's name change before the date of issue of the check. Date of issue of the check. And if the company can legally provide information that it was the same company, maybe it's valid. Good explanation, Deena. Others? Others? No idea. If the company can be proved as the intended recipient, the check will be valid even undated. If the company can be proved, as the intended recipient, the check will be valid. That answer needs to be modified a bit. Now, an undated check is more acceptable than a fraudulently altered dated check. Understand? That check which I showed you, if it was undated, it's better than a wrong date being inserted, which is not coming under section 13 as to the presumption. If I had to tell it simply, more simply, look at this. ABC Company Limited changed its name from ABC Company Limited to ABC Company PLC in the year 2015. Now, Amila Pereira is saying, I gave this check to ABC Company Limited in undated. Now, who would be interested in encashing this check now? Let's assume for the moment, I'm going to alter these dates and I'm going to say, instead of that date, I'm going to insert this date. Huh? 2021 March 12th, that is yesterday. Who would be interested to encash this check now? Tell me that. It's not 2018 now. I've updated the date. You will see in a moment. Instead of 2018, now it's 12th March 2021, as you can see. Now, who is interested in encashing this check? Who is interested in encashing this check? Tell me. Who is interested? Now, who can endorse this check? Who is the holder of this check now? Who is the holder of this check? Who is the holder of this check? Yes, yes, I need your answers, please. Who is the holder of this check? Holder of the check. It's okay to get it wrong. Keep that in mind. Who is the holder of the check? No, no, no. You need to give me the full name. Give me the full name of the check. Very good, Amansa. It's ABC Company PLC. That's the check. That's the holder of the check. Then what should, mm, how and who should present this? Who is endorsing? Who should endorse? Who is the endorser? Who is the endorsee? And how? Tell me with what we learned. Who should endorse this? So, like Amansa mentioned, it's ABC Co PLC who should get the funds now. Who wants the funds now? So, ideally, they become the endorsee, and ABC Company Limited has to endorse this, right? Understand? Understand? No, if it is the bearer, that's also fine. ABC Company PLC also can endorse and give it what you call deposit it to their account. But what happens is the check is written in favor of ABC Company Limited, which ceased to be in existence nearly 6 years ago. That is 2015. Do you understand that up to that? So they ceased to exist, the payee, nearly 6 years ago in 2015. Or not nearly, over 6 years ago. After 2015 February, there is no company called ABC Company Limited. Yes, it's the same entity, but this term limited became PLC because they became a listed company. Right? Understand? Try to understand what I'm saying, right? I am not saying it is not the same company. I am not saying it's wrong for them to change their name from limited to PLC. I am not saying it's wrong to have ABC Company Limited stated here. What I am saying is this check is a fraudulently altered check. Why do I say that? If the drawer he admits to the authenticity of his signature, he said, yes, I wrote in favor of ABC Company Limited and gave it undated. Go to section 12. bill can be issued undated and any holder may insert the true date of its issue unless the holder in good faith and by mistake inserts a wrong date. So that's out. You can't put a wrong date and make a mistake of that nature. In every case, and if it comes to the holder in due course, this is not a holder in due course, this is the original payee. But only issue here is presumption as to the date being true. There is a presumption that 2021 March 12th is true. However, Amila is disputing here. He is saying it cannot be the case because I gave it to ABC Company Limited when it was in existence. That is 6 years ago. If it was 6 years ago, it ceased to be in existence. Then this date cannot be this date. It should be a date at the time it was in existence. Right? At the time it was in existence. This date cannot be this date. If that were, unless this date, if you put as a date, let's say 1st of January 2015, still this check is invalid because it's expired 6 years ago. This check is a fraudulent check. Date altered. And now the presumption as to the trueness of the date is now, we call it rebutted. Right? Haba karla tiyenne. It's what do you call proved otherwise. Understand? I hope you all understood. Any questions? Any questions from that? That is presumption as to the true date. No questions? Fine. At the same time, section 13(2), if a bill is antedated or post-dated or it bears a date on a Sunday, it's not invalid. Right? If it is dated on a Sunday, it's payable on the immediately next working day. Right? Payable on demand. Right? A bill is not invalid if it is antedated or post-dated. Then we go to section 75. I want to touch upon. That is, once you issue a check, can you stop it? Revocation of banker's authority. Right? A customer is entitled to stop payment on a check that he has issued before the bank pays it. So it should be before the bank pays it. Right? The duty and authority of a banker to pay a check drawn on him by his customer are determined by countermand of payment and note or notice of the customer's death. Right? Right. Now, countermand, you can just say, now, around 11 o'clock in the night, you can't call your bank and say, please stop the payment. No, you can't do like that. Right? You need to ensure that you need to give the countermand during the business hours of the bank. You need to give notice whilst the bank is what do you call conducting its business on the regular what do you call timelines, right? It must be at the branch on which the check was drawn, but now it's not so the case because all branches are online now, right? And when you're countermanding the payment, you have to properly identify the check, right? Then in writing, those things must be addressed. And when the bank gets noticed of the customer's death, right, the bank cannot pay that customer's check. I'm going to give you a question. This is the question. Right? Mr. Fernando, customer, writes a check to the bank, writes a check in favor of Mr. Pereira, right? For this 50,000 dated 12th March 2021, right? Then Mr. Pereira comes to the bank on 17th March 2021 to encash the check. Mr. Fernando died on the 15th of March. Question is, can the bank release the payment or encash the check? Read this question with 75-2. 75B. The duty and authority of a banker to pay a check drawn on him by his customer are determined. Determined means terminated by countermand of payment or stopped by countermand of payment or notice of the customer's case. Question. Cannot the bank pay the check? Read this question. Once again. I need your answers. Others? So all of you all are saying can. I'm going to I'm going to update it with more information. So he wrote the check on the 12th. Pereira came to the branch on the 17th. Fernando died on the 15th. Right? That's what the question is about. On 16th March the relevant, let's say, uh, uh, relationship manager or the branch manager saw an obituary notice of the customer on in the paper. Would your answer be different? So it seems that you all have understood the principle. Once the bank gets the notice of customer's death, the bank can't do anything of that sort. Right? Right. What do you call what names? Okay, what in you identify names, you identify a check which is drawn by and drawn on a bank. Remember, it's it's drawn by a bank, drawn on the bank. In other words, the drawer is the bank, the drawee also is the bank. Drawn by means the drawer is the bank, drawn on means the drawee. Of course, it's a check on the same bank, on the bank. What do you call? In what different names do you give them? Bankers, I need your answers for that. If the check is drawn by the bank, let's say it's a commercial bank check, drawn by commercial bank itself in favor of somebody else. What do you call that checks? Those types of checks. Come on. What do you call those types of checks? Give me one name. Give me one name. Bankers here, there are bankers, right? Minoli? Very good. So you can call it a cashier's order. Cashier's order. It's an order to the chief cashier of the bank. Drawn. It's an order, not to the. It's an order by the chief cashier of the bank. That means by the bank. So by the bank to the bank. It's a cashier's order. You call it again banker's draft, banker's check. Yes. Then you can. There are some checks also. There are. Please get these things. Don't forget these things. There are some checks I'm seeing. Check on self. It's written there. That means check on self. Right? It's a banker's draft, cashier's order. Bank checks. Right? There are some rules that you need to observe when the checks are being issued, right, or written, right? The customer must always make sure there is sufficient funds in the account at the time that he or she is issuing the check, right? Otherwise, it will be a criminal offense under Section 25 of the Debt Recovery Act, which we will be doing next week, right? It's a criminal offense, mind you, and there's imprisonment also. So there should be insufficient funds. There and no room should be left open uh, or no gaps in the words of the amounts payable, right? And after everything, always use the term only at the end, right? And always use a pen. Always use a pen. Because if you use a pencil, there's room for fraud, right? And before you intend to use it, never sign check, right? Okay, there's something else I wanted to mention. Go to sum payable, that is section 9. What do you do? What do you do if you get a check like this? What do you do if you get a check like this? Give me a moment, I will. What do you do when you get a check like this? pay ABC Company Limited 50,000 rupees only, and in figures it has written not 50,000, 500,000. What would you do? In words, it says stated pay 50,000, but in figures it has written 500,000. What do? Do you return the check, or do you pay 500,000, or do you pay 50,000? It cannot be in cash, okay. Others? Return the check. Return the check, return the check, return the check. Easiest thing to do, my bankers, yes. Dina, the answer to your question is nothing happens, right? The bank has no notice. If the bank has no notice, the bank can go ahead and pay the check. Then after paying the check, the bank gets to know, then too late. It's gone. Okay, to the question that I asked, I refer to you all have said return the check, but be very careful. You return the check for wrong reasons, you will be held for negligence, accountable for negligence. Specific, clear provisions under section 9, subsection 2. Read subsection 2, where the sum payable is expressed in words and also in figures, and there is a discrepancy between the two. The sum denoted by the words is the amount payable. So the bank can pay that. Right? Not 500,000, but 50,000. And this is a no risk. See, if it was the other way around, then you can at least say that, you are taking a risk-based approach. Saying that, I didn't pay, if you can't justify paying 500,000, which even if it was mentioned in words, and in figures it was mentioned 50,000. But here it's the other way around. Figures it's mentioned 500,000, but you paid 50,000, which is in the words, and which is the law, right? You can't justify returning this check. You would be held accountable for negligence, right? Okay. Understood? I hope. Now, lastly, we will be going through certain standard phrases of returning reasons by the bank, right? For lack of funds, say there are no funds in the account, what would be the return reason you would say? For lack of funds, check is returned. What is the return reason? Have anyone seen a CRN before? What is a CRN? Bankers should know.
Refer to drawer, is it?
Reason is refer to drawer. What is a CRN?
Check return notice.
Very good. Check return notification. So at the back of the check return notification, you will have the list of return reasons with the return codes. Right. Now, for lack of funds, the most recommended thing is prefer drawer, right? Or you can say if it's not realized, or if there is some other reason for lack of funds, meaning there are funds, but funds are, let's say there is a hold place on the account for some other reason. Then if such a situation, you can say funds attached, right? Funds attached, or funds garnished, right? Then there are technical reasons. Give me some technical reasons for returning a check. Technical reasons. I will give you one technical reason. That's one technical reason. What are the other? You could also use so normally if the difference is very big, the bankers, they may return the check if they are different based on a risk-based approach. Drawer has stop payment, very good. Irregular signature, very good. What else? These are obvious reasons. So, in other words, the explanation for the return is explained itself. Frozen account. Frozen account. Frozen account. There you need to be careful. Why? Closed account. Frozen account. Dina, what type of situations you would say frozen account? Why would you freeze an account? Court order. Court would not freeze an account unless under particular law. What is that? Court will freeze. No. What do you mean by garnish order? Fine. Funds attached? Fine. Funds attached? Fine. Court order will not freeze the account. Court order would freeze some amount, some balance amount in the account. But when you say frozen account, it gives a different indication. Under what circumstances you use the term account frozen? Since you gave that answer, I'm asking. Because you need to be very careful when you mention, because you shouldn't mention that actually. Because you will be in trouble if you mention that. Because you will be triggering a particular clause in a particular law. What is that? Death of the account holder, lost money in the account. Those I haven't seen. This question, my original question, why you shouldn't mention frozen account? Think about it, I'll tell you. Then you can mention check incomplete where the obvious or the requisite details are not there. Then check unpaid debts like loans. Nope. Court order. Ah, very good. Anti-money laundering. You frozen accounts. I can't remember who mentioned that. You don't mention that because you will be triggering, I think, section 6 or 13 of Prevention of Money Laundering Act, right? And you will be held accountable for tipping off the customer. It's a criminal offense. Therefore, you shouldn't mention that. Check irregularly drawn. Huh? For an example, you have cash or order. It's irregularly drawn. It's not a check, right? Or drawer's signature required or differs from the specimen. Okay. Yeah, somebody said drawer deceased, right? Or there's endorsement irregular. Endorsement required. Endorsement illegible. What else? So those are the areas. There are many more. Get a check CRN and look at the back of it, and then you will see. We have now completed the law related to bills of exchange and the checks. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Next week, I'm going to commence and I'm going to complete Act number 2 of 1990, that is debt recovery law. And if I have, I will also start on Act number 4 of 1990, amended by Act number 1 of 2011 and Act number 9 of 2011, that is Recoveries of Loans by Bank Special Provisions Act, right, as amended by those two amendments. And if possible, I will complete it, but I doubt it. I will take another maximum of 2 or maximum of 3 classes. Then I think the winding up class would be done by again the Mr. Dheera Singh. For next week, please download and keep with you, which is Debt Recovery Act. These are imperative big areas, right? And Act number 4 of 1990, recoveries of loans by banks, special provisions Act. Right, amended by Act number 1 of 2011. I think so. Let me double check. It is correct. Then after that, Act number 7. 9. Right. Debt Recovery Act was amended in 2016, right? Debt Recovery Act 9 of 2016. No, not 2016, 1994. Yeah, 9 of 1994. So these acts you need to bring. I can give you the links. Bring in the sense you have it yourself, right? I will. Give you links. You just Google it, it is there. Right? So, any questions? These areas we will be covering next week. If you don't have any questions, we can call it a day. Right? Have a nice afternoon. All the best.
Thank you, sir.